The invention of actual infinity. Mathematical objects, like constructs, are conceived in the human mind. For this to happen, one must have an idea of formalized things that later emerge with their properties. There are certain objects of enormous size that escape our limited mind. For example, the entirety of the real line or the entirety of the natural numbers. This problem has existed since humans began to think about objects of unlimited size. The Greeks were the ones who first called it actual, primarily concerning mathematical and especially geometric objects. From the Greek era up to the late 19th century, the only valid concept in mathematical work was the so-called operative act. That is, one that originated in the moment of operation and could be asserted to continue indefinitely. For example, in Greece it was understood that natural numbers regained existence in the act of counting, as far as one wanted to count, and with the idea that the act of counting could continue beyond what was necessary. It was not possible to consider natural numbers as a totality. To this we coined the term imaginable infinity or act. It was Aristotle who established it this way as an essential characteristic of mathematical work, to work potentially and not in act. However, these imaginable objects are today replaced by simple representations or notations. In the case of natural numbers, n is written, and for the real line, n is written, simplifying the concept and idea of such objects, causing a cognitive rupture, not for those who accept it without further reflection, but for those who possess greater mental acuity. To give existence to actual infinity, it was necessary to capture some essential property of such infinite objects. The first to realize that something essential differentiated finite objects from infinite ones was Galileo Galilei, who showed that in the case of natural numbers, an infinite object, it had a subset, the even numbers, whose elements could be paired one-to-one with each natural number, Rnh. That is to say, natural numbers possess the charisma of being the only ones of n. This is the essential characteristic that distinguishes them from the rest and from other constructs, a principle first defined for natural numbers and later for infinite sets. A set Rxa is said to be infinite if a proper subset Rc of mod xr can be found whose one-to-one correspondence with Rxr generates the same condition with each element of nen xn. Thus was born the actual infinity in the act that today, for the case of natural numbers, we do not represent as n. For the set of the real line, the object in conjunction is written as the set of real numbers. That is, the real numbers are not countable or enumerable. For this, it was necessary to expand Richard Dedekind's definition to include real numbers. The new idea came from the hands of George Cantor, who established two types of infinite sets. One enumerable can be paired with natural numbers, and another non-enumerable. For the first case, we have the natural numbers, and for the second case, George Cantor himself demonstrated that the set of real numbers is not enumerable. Under these two types of sets, he established a new definition of infinite set. A set Xa is infinite if it has a proper enumerable subset. For the case of real numbers, we have the set of rational numbers Q, an enumerable subset of the real numbers. According to the formal system used, this definition can be demonstrated. For this, it is simply defined that an infinite set is one that is not finite. These formal definitions give existence to infinite sets as a whole, in act, as the Greeks would say. Despite the cognitive rupture, mathematicians formalize each of these concepts methodically, thereby giving existence to objects to operationalize certain purposes within a mathematical context.